Hello, here's an experimental video. I have a laptop on the TV there where I usually have a PlayStation. In my most recent video on this tripod I had a TV here. It's a small TV, it's like a 20-inch TV. And this dongle that's shown there, I got at Best Buy over 5 years ago. They had discontinued the product, in my opinion, because it was too good of a product. It is a Samsung dongle that physically hooks up to a TV and wirelessly connects to any Samsung phone. So up here at the top right, I'm pressing this screen mirror button, and it scans and connects. I have no idea if the video's still going to be capturing over here, or the audio. So there I am over there, so I can see my hand here, and I should be able to see it over there too. Okay, so in my blog from 2 days ago, I mentioned my cousin. I remember what I'm going to do was on the agenda for this. I'd have to open up a YouTube over here. So let me just... so here's an email that says one of these links is Thoreau, and then behind it, here's ancestry.com for Henry David Thoreau. I think I'll have to log in, perhaps. I always look for this information. I can never find it on my blogs or wherever else. I suppose here is just part of his significance. How it relates to the author who I've read the most of their books, Robert Greene. I was watching an interview, so I have a book here, Mastery. I was watching an interview with his book Mastery, and he mentioned Emerson, who was Henry David Thoreau's quote-unquote master, and he was his apprentice, is what I meant to say. For example, how it says Walden right there. Emerson owned the land that Henry David Thoreau built a cabin on, and sort of became a man in the woods way before it was cool. For later on, the whole symbol of this book are these two pillars. Here's part 2 of the book about apprenticeship, the ideal apprenticeship. So Emerson and Thoreau were sort of the ideal student and teacher conference, student and teacher thing, relationship. What's happening over here? Problem? I don't see why modes is not working. On the TV behind me, it's still hooked up. I'll go ahead and show that. I hope it doesn't show too much over here. So that shows the same thing. Anyways, I'm going to go back to this. I'll disable the screen mirror. But why is the mode not working? Oh, there it goes. Okay. That always becomes the thumbnail. So, after of this book here, do a whole lot of trying to place myself in the author or writer's shoes of different things, and sort of trying to reverse engineer the culture and the concepts and ideas of what they're talking about. Okay, so here's the book, 48 Laws, somewhere right there. And it's stuffed with makeshift bookmarks. So what I mentioned in my last vlog was just for the heck of it, I went through the index here at the very back of the book for the heck of it to see if my cousin was mentioned, because I could sort of sense his presence in these books after learning about him earlier this year, Thoreau. And so I went through the index, and I sort of realized what the index is sort of the author's personal notes of his favorite parts of the book. So, like it says unconventional ideas right here, instead of unconventional ideas, if it said power, the accumulation of and defense against, those are two different things. Sort of like it says unhappy and unlucky and unfortunate people, the avoiding of, that's the only thing, right? There's no second thing. That's funny. So instead of having this book stuffed with bookmarks because it's so disorganized and stuff, what I'll do instead is I'll make a list, just like the index, of my own personal favorite parts of the book, just on a piece of paper, and put that in the front or the back of the book. Just my favorite pages of the book. And so I can get rid of all these old bookmarks that way. I'll go ahead and show it again. It's on page 408 and 8. That's not hard to... that's very easy to remember. It's almost at the very end of the book, page 408. And here's where it mentions Thoreau, my cousin, at the very bottom. As Thoreau once said, envy is the tax which all distinction must pay. And I should probably go ahead and read out loud the reversal. I went in to see if in Mastery, if it mentioned Emerson in the index. It doesn't. Perhaps in the entire book, it probably does mention the Emerson quote. As I mentioned, Robert Greene, in the interview for this book on some TV show, he many years ago, he mentioned the Emerson quote, and it was a good one. And so I sort of got this feeling like, wow. I'm just reading the book now. It took me forever to find a mention of Emerson. Okay. I also have the war book right here with also stuff with bookmarks. I pointed out in my most important blog on the topic. Let's see if I can try it again over here. The place to start, after reading through the book, I suggest one time, start at the very end, assume the formlessness. With no form, no structure, go to the most important law. So starting from 48 and going to 37 over here. 37 is to create compelling spectacles. And I showed how, what's his name? I can't think of his name now. Gene Chandler, in the song Duke of Earl, he has like one spectacle instead of wearing glasses in his old concerts. It's sort of like the worshipful company of spectacle makers going back to the 15th century in city of London. So the idea is the most important chapter is the one that's almost least expected. Right here, number 37, compelling spectacles, right in the center. So my cousin's mentioned on 408 that it's almost exactly 100 pages difference. So the difference is 11. And then it's really explained. I explained it easier the first time. So subtracting 37 and the difference of 11 gets to 26. Keep your hands clean. Of course, that's important. Hands face space, as they say in England. That's their new slogan as of 2021. And then subtracting another 11 would be Law 15, crush your enemy totally. And that's sort of like easy to confuse with conceal your intentions. Another very important one. And then just always say less than necessary, going to 4. So those are the, how many is that? That's 4, 15, 26, 37, and 40. That's 5. 5 of the most important laws. One for each finger. And considering the 50th law is sort of the sequel to this book, it's not coincidental that there's no 49th law, and then the 50th law is an entirely separate book. Is the phone crashing? Oh no, just the camera. Let me go ahead and unplug this. It's just not. It's just a huge waste. How do I unplug it? It's over. I'll just unplug it from the TV. Okay. Well, it's still will be getting the signal. I'll just unplug the power from it too. Here's what it looks like. It's just a dongle, Samsung dongle. I still haven't even taken the plastic off of it. I'll go ahead and do that now. So yeah, that was less than $50 if I remember right. And it hooks up to any, like, doesn't have to be a Samsung TV, smart TV or whatever. I'm gonna go ahead and go back to the computer. What was I talking about over here? So there's generally 6 laws on each page in the intro. So if there were going to be more, it would go 48, 49, 50, and 51. Hang on, 49, 50, and 51. Yeah, that would go up, the whole page or whatever, considering on the others there's 6 for each page. So the idea is, should there be 60 laws, one for each year of living to the age of 60? Very similar to in 50 Cent's first album, Power of the Dollar, how each minute of the song corresponds to like a year of life. In the first 5 minutes of the album, it's sort of like the first 5 years of life. He talks about learning how to tie shoes, seeing a bunch of faces, stuff like that. Seeing a bunch of faces, tying shoelaces, and stuff like that. Going on and on, it's sort of like a song for each minute, whatever. And the math works out perfectly because 1 minute is 60 seconds, and that can be perfectly divided for 12 months. So each 5 seconds of 1 minute would correspond to 1 month. Just like out of 60 minutes, each 5 minutes could also similarly correspond to, 5 minutes would correspond to 1 month. So for example, 6 months would be 30 minutes or 30 seconds of the album. And the book, 48 Laws, was written in a very similar way. Those are the only 2 things that I've found like that. I know that albums and CDs traditionally have 45 minutes exactly. So that might be a similar thing, just 45 years instead of 60 years. Probably 60 and 90 minute movies that are like an hour and a half is similarly written. I think a lot of people have heard that in a screenplay, each page is supposed to be about 1 minute of dialogue. So if it's going to be a 100-minute movie, it's going to have 100 pages. And books are not written that way. They could be concisely boiled down to just 100 pages. But I would recommend everyone does that on their own. Like, it is possible to buy the Concise Power, Laws of Power. So anyways, I'm completely rambling now. Let me just go ahead and show this Thoreau stuff, and I'll probably try to make a more organized video. Why am I getting this story? Okay, so I'm fifth cousin, 5 times removed. And as I've mentioned, this Richard Church right here, he's, in my opinion, the Poor Richard from Poor Richard's Almanac. And here's Henry David Thoreau. He and all of his brothers and sisters, his older brother and he started a school. So because they all passed away without having children, we, as his cousins, sort of inherit what they had started. So that's why I'm sort of like trying to be an educational person, because he and his older brother started a school. What else? So this Richard Church, he was born in London and then helped found Massachusetts Bay Colony around 1630. So he was barely in his early 20s when that happened. So it's my 10th great grandfather, because it's my mom's Ancestry.com account. This is our side over here, and that's Thoreau's side. That's the split between the brother and sister, Abigail and Caleb. The very early stages, whatever. So it's going to be his, if that's his mother, Asa is a man or a man. So that's his grandfather, first grandfather, second grandfather, or first great grandfather, third great grandmother, fourth, and fifth. So his fifth great grandfather is my 10th, because this is my mom's account. It says 9. Anyways, so the lineage just completely stops there. Not just with him, but also his, I think he had 2 sisters and 1 brother, or maybe 2 brothers and 1 sister. And I think it's pretty clear that he was traditionally Jewish on this Dunbar's side, if not more. And so we sort of also inherit that. That's sort of something that's priceless. Can't be paid for. And I'll go ahead and show the full thing, the full relationship. It can also be seen on different websites. I'll just reiterate on the left side. That's okay. So here's my mother right there, and then I would be over here. As far as I know, these are all West Texas over here, and all different parts of the country on my mom's side, from Michigan to Tennessee, from also even this is on my mother's father's side, from the same place, from Massachusetts, and she was tried in a witch trial in the late 1600s. And there's info, that's just a stock image over here. See what it says. They had 7 children. So after having 7 children, she was tried as a witch. That's a lot. Oh, 31st October. Oh, she was exonerated officially in 2001. Interesting. And then I think, as a bookmark, I have my grandfather over here. Very interesting thing that I think... Actually, no. Carmelo Petrino is... I'm going to get lost over here. Here's how it goes from America to the old country, Italy. Reggio. It says here 1891. I'm just trying to think here. This is my great grandfather Carmelo, and here is my not my grandfather, but that's going to be. Whoa, that's what I have the card for. I'll be right back. I have to be right back. I have to get that card. So because I have I'm excited now. Because I have an uncle, Vince, born around 1950. I found this card and I thought this was my uncle Vince's confirmation, but it turns out to actually be the funeral of. Let's see if I can have that not in reverse. So here's the same. That's not gonna work out. Let me turn on a light. So that Vincent Petrino is this same one right here, born in 1891 and died in 1950. That's exactly what it says over here. So that's the proof right there, and it's actually like a funeral director and has a Hail Mary on it. So I can find that information from Cleveland. So here's the proof. Now I have the proof of old country from Italy to America. And that's, that's, I'm a Petrino or whatever. And let me show you like just some trivia about the word Petrino. What it means. So I'll type in English to Italian translation, and I'll type in Godfather. What I realized yesterday is that Don Vito Corleone, it's what the Italian American mob sort of is the mob of mobs. Like the boss of bosses is Don Vito Corleone, Marlon Brando's character, and also a book. For example, if I search Il Padrino video game, or PlayStation 2, PS2, that's in Italy what it's called. It's called Il Padrino. It's not called The Godfather. So it's sort of, it's also the same in Spanish. It says El Patrino. So that's Spanish, and this is Italian where it says Il. Some other interesting words. This has nothing to do with my last name. Whoops. I think revenge and so revenge in English is vendetta in Italian. And so what else? So if I type in, actually I'm looking for Spanish over here now. If I type in homeland, patria. So it's almost a very similar word. Fatherland is what it means. Like in Russia, they call it the motherland. One of the largest statues in Asia is the Motherland statue in Russia. I can never remember the name of it. Motherland statue, Volgograd. Motherland calls. What else? So let me show my patrilineal heritage. Yeah, so this Macri right here, this really like spooked the heck out of me when I realized it. If I search, I'm like jittering, Unca Tony, Macri, Wikipedia. So it's not that, so after his funeral, he was credited with the deaths of 300 people after his funeral. So there's a lot of criminals and stuff like that who are attributed or whatever to being killed while the person's still alive. And in this case, though, where is it? 300 lives. So his death triggered a war that cost 300 lives. And so Franz Ferdinand is another person who's like that. It's sort of like a zombie, like almost like he got up out of his grave and killed 300 people or something like that. And so it reminds me this name, and there's all the lore. That's what I meant to say. All the lore about. There's all the lore, L-O-R-E. I don't have anywhere to type it, so I'll type it here. The way in Massachusetts law is pronounced is lore. And so this could be called like the 38 layers, L-A-Y-E-R-S, layers of power. It's a layered book like the movie Layer Cake. That's a political term also. When people talk about federal versus state government or something like that. So anyways, it reminds me of his last name, Mac, like Machiavelli, Tupac's name, or like Big Mac, Notorious, lots of notoriety and everything. So how am I going to figure out, how can I... So what's funny is all the lore in Italian-American mob culture is that never leave or abandon your family. Like, your family is all you have. So for my, on my dad's side, my dad and his grandfather, they sort of left the Macri, they left their mother's side and joined up with the Petrinos. And we sort of got absorbed into it. Sort of like the Italian-American mob is the mob of all mobs. All groups and cults and cultures around the world can identify with it, and if they've been people individually or groups been rejected, then they can sort of be absorbed into the Italian American mob. And it's hard to explain. It's like Misfits, the name of the band Misfits or something. Like any Misfits can join up with the Italian American mob, even though technically you have to be Italian American first and foremost. Even better is to have like this proof of heritage and stuff. So I have this James Vincent Petrino. Here's where the split happened. And so it's funny to think that like my dad and his dad had sort of abandoned the Macri crime family. And then so Unca Tony was like, he went all over from his hometown in Italy. In his criminal career, he's noted for starting up the Italian American mob in Canada and Australia. And it's like, in the meantime, he was looking for my dad and his dad to try to bring him back into the family and marry off one of his Macri female relatives, into my dad or his dad. So it's just such a comic. It's like a comic strip in a newspaper. So, and I was thinking about one of the iconic scenes from The Godfather is Luca Brazillionaire sleeps with the fishes. And just the name, Brazzi, is sort of like Brazil. Like, what's beyond a trillion? A Brazillionaire. So the idea of him sleeping with a fish is when there's a fish wrapped up, like a big fish wrapped up in a newspaper. And this scene is like being noosed by the news. That's what it means when There's a newspaper here, and he sleeps with the fishes. What the heck is this? It's a Sicilian message. Oh, actually, you know what? There is no newspaper. It's a body armor, so it's just regular paper. No, it is newspaper. Yeah, so it's like the noose. Like in GTA 4, they have the noose. National Office of Security Enforcement. Sort of like Homeland, like I said over here. Somewhere in the translator. So here's the noose. Like the newspaper. Anyways, I'm just rambling. I can't believe this video is still going. It was just an experiment. So I suppose I'll go ahead and end it. I just have to wrap this up how this fits in with me. I always forget. Carmelo Petrino is what? Here's Carl Petrino. That's my grandfather right here. So it's going in reverse. So Vincent's father is Carmelo Petrino. Oh, this is my dad's uncle, Vincent. But I also have an Uncle Vincent. Is this right? I have to see the tree. No, because Rosina Rosa Macri, that's my grandpa's mother. Yeah, these are my dad's. That's my dad's dad. My dad's dad. So my dad would be over here, and I would be over here. So me, my dad, my grandpa, Carl, Don Carlo, and then my great-grandfather and my great-great-grandfather. And if I'm not mistaken, there's 2 Carmelos. There's no telling what this Zumbo name. That really does sound African heritage, if I'm not, if I'm just being honest over here. Anyways, so it goes, the trail goes cold right there. So anyways, that's all.